Show. Starring Jackie Gleason and Art Carney.
With Morey, Amsterdam, and special guest star George Burns, the June Taylor Dancers, and Sammy Spear and his orchestra. And away we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, our orchestra leader, Sammy Spear. Think about it.
That is the jacket of all time, Sam.
That is between a mini and a maxi. Better known as a messy. Tonight, we have a great show lined up for you. We have Morey, Amsterdam. Later on, we have a little surprise involving Art Carney and Ed Norton. But right now, I'd like to introduce a great comedian who is always a pleasure to work with, my pal, George Burns. Gorgeous. Jack? Jackie, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Well, pal, it's great having you here. And did you notice the dressing room that I gave you right next to the June Taylor dancers?
That's the first thing I noticed.
And did you notice how I have that soft music, romantic style, piped into your room?
I noticed that, too.
And on the coffee table, a 2-pound box of chocolates.
With the nuts in the center?
With the nuts in the center.
Good.
And that big, soft, comfortable couch. And on the arm of the couch, a little dimmer to turn the lights down low.
I noticed all of that.
Now, is there anything else I can do for you?
Well, just one thing. Make sure that there's a lock on the inside of my door.
Oh, there's a lock on your door.
Yeah, I don't want the girls coming in and eating my chocolates.
George, maybe I better turn up your dimmer.
No. Leave it the way it is. After I get full of chocolates, I always take a little nap.
Oh, I see. By the way, did I tell you that Jack Benny's going to be on the show in a few weeks?
I just left him, and he sends you his love.
Oh. How you've stayed friends for 48 years, I'll never know. And incidentally, who was that young girl you had backstage with you that you brought from California?
Well, her name is Lisa Miller. You see, she worked with me in Las Vegas.
Oh.
And she was with an act called The Kids Next Door.
I see.
And then she's got a sense of humor, but it's off-center.
Off-center?
Off-center. I mean, what she says makes sense, but not the right kind of sense.
Oh.
All this kid needs is really a straight man.
Well, let's bring her out. I'd love to hear you talk to her.
Well, we'll both talk to her.
Well, look, George, I'm not a straight man.
Look, Jackie, it's simple, and there's no pressure on you. You don't have to worry about getting laughs.
You know, maybe I've been a straight man all these years and didn't know it. Might have been it.
Let's bring her out and split her between us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lisa Miller.
Lisa, this is Jackie Gleason.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Mr. Gleason. When my mother found out I was going to be on your show, she was just thrilled. And she said for me to tell you that you're her favorite comedian.
Well, thank you. You must have a very nice mother.
Oh, yeah, we treat her just like one of the family.
I suppose that's because you and your mother are related.
And vice versa.
You can't argue with that.
I'm not even going to try.
Mr. Gleason, you're my favorite comedian, too.
Oh.
That is you and Willard Newton.
Who's Willard Newton?
Well, he's this boy in my biology class, and I told him I'd mention his name.
George, I think you ought to take it over from
All
here.
right.
I don't want to...
Lisa, what would you like to talk about tonight?
Anything. My schoolwork, the bus ride I took today, my family.
Well, let's talk about your family.
Okay, we'll talk about my brother.
All right.
Well, which brother do you want to talk about? My brother Philip, who sleeps on the floor, or my brother Graham, who has the appendicitis scar on his neck?
Well, let's talk about Philip, the one who sleeps on the floor. Why does he do that?
Well, the doctor says he has high blood pressure.
And he's trying to keep it down?
Yeah.
Jackie, you're on again.
You have a brother Graham who has an appendicitis scar on his neck?
And even when he wears a high collar, you can still see it. In fact, the only time it doesn't show is when he takes his shoes off.
George, I don't seem to understand this.
Well, you see, when he takes his shoes off, his neck slips into his collar.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Lisa, why does he have an appendicitis scar on his neck?
Well, he was so ticklish down here that they had to
operate up here. George, this is beginning to make sense, and it worries me.
Well, how do you think Willard Newton feels?
Yeah, Willard must be murdered.
Lisa, what does your brother Graham do?
He's with the FBI.
He is, huh?
They picked him up in Kansas City.
why did they pick him up?
Well, Kansas is a dry state.
And
And
Graham wasn't in a dry state.
So the FBI picked him up.
Oh, well, they had to. He couldn't pick himself up.
He sounds like a very interesting guy.
So's my brother Graham.
That's who I was talking about.
Oh, I'm glad we finally got on the same subject.
George, am I doing something wrong?
No. Your brother Graham
Once he broke his back on account of a donut.
broke his back on account of a donut?
He just loves donuts because he talks so much. Well, he never stops talking.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Well, with a donut, you can eat and talk
Through the holes at the same...
Lisa, how could a donut break your brother's back?
Well, Graham's left-handed.
You want to take the next line, George?
No, you started it, you finish it.
Well, so your brother Graham is left-handed.
Well, he had this donut in his right-hand pocket, and when he went to take it out with his left hand, he broke his back.
Well, if he had a donut in his right-hand pocket, why didn't he take it out with his right hand?
Well, that's hard to do when you've got your pants on backwards.
He had his pants on backwards?
Well, you see, Graham bought this suit with 2 pairs of pants.
I see.
And he put 1 pair on frontwards and 1 pair on backwards.
So that he could go either way, I guess.
That's when the truck hit him.
What truck?
The trucker didn't have his lights on.
Well, why didn't the man in the truck have his lights on?
Well, he didn't have to. It was daytime.
Well, if it was daytime, didn't the man in the truck see your brother coming?
He didn't know he was my brother.
He didn't, huh?
No, he saw 2 pairs of pants coming toward him.
And he drove between them.
Lisa, this family of yours, do they all live together?
Oh, yeah, my nephews and my uncle, and my father and my brothers all sleep in 1 bed.
Well, I'm surprised your grandfather isn't sleeping with them.
Oh, he did, but he died, so they made him get up.
Lisa, I think Jackie has had enough. I'll see you later.
I certainly have. Get out of here. There is a comedian in show business. When I introduce him, you'll recognize him. Who all you have to say to is do 1.5 pounds of jokes, and he can do them. Here he is, not only a man for all seasons, but a man for all occasions, Morey, Amsterdam.
This is such a good audience, I wish I had a better act. I am very excited. I gotta tell you, ready for a telegram?
Yes, I am.
You know I am so jumping with joy?
You are?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. Listen to this.
Yes.
Dear Morey, that's me. Your uncle died and left you $1 million. Thanks for everything. Love, Aunt Rose. How about that? Look at that, boy. If you don't
Say,
sing like
that's
this, gonna make
really...
you feel good, boy. Huh?
Wait a minute.
Me with $1 million.
You made a little mistake.
What's the matter?
It says your uncle died and left you. 1 million thanks for everything. Love, Andrew.
What's the difference? Who needs money, right? Can money buy poverty? I want to tell you, this is an exciting day. Jackie, I can't get used to him being thin. When I knew, you know, if he used to walk down the street, people would say, what time does the balloon go up? He looks so beautiful like this. You know that when he was born, he weighed 97 pounds? Really? Wait till I tell you. Carried his mother home from the hospital. The stroke that brought him still has a hernia. Now he looks great. Everything is good. I like this kind of an audience. I wish my wife was here. She likes this kind of a group. Indifferent. He treats you so good. When you come to this program, you get a police escort in from the airport. You think it's easy running between 2 motorcycles? And the way way they treat you backstage, I got a dressing room, cost a dime to get in. Fine place for a dressing room and a phone booth. And I'll tell you, I got a room next to the June Taylor girls, too. I think the walls in this joint must be made out of iron. You ought to see my knife. I've been having so much fun, so many nice people. I was talking to George Burns. He's down here in Miami visiting, and he goes way back in show. Did you know I started in show business with a dance act? I didn't know that. Yeah. You must remember us, the three aristocrats. Bellows, Klein, and McGillicuddy. We had an act. We had two guys. You'd throw a girl around. The first week, we used 37 different girls. My partner kept saying, I thought you had her. I should have known he was nearsighted. We went hunting one day. He picked up a snake to kill a stick. Just the weirdest looking guy you ever saw. He wasn't only a squinter, he had no chin. I swear, no chin. No chin. If they ever hang this man, they're going to have to put the rope under his arms. And to top off the whole thing, he didn't have a hair on his head. Now, I have no objection to people being bald. I think it's kind of neat. But this bum didn't even have eyebrows. You look at him from a few feet away, it looked like his neck was blowing bubble gum. I swear this man was so bald he had to carry his dandruff around his hands. He had the worst luck of any... You talk about a loser. This guy, you ready? His first job, he was a map maker for Amelia Earhart. Then he opened up a cyclamate factory. Oh, he had... Now, you talk about a loser. You know what the last thing was happened to this fella? He was mugged in Central Park in New York 3 times, so he got a big police dog for protection. He was mugged by a guy with a rhinoceros. And to top off the whole thing, he had some kind of a thing with his neck. Do you ever see people who walk like this? Walk like this. So one day he's standing in a saloon as a chiropractor says, hey, buddy, why don't you come up to the office? Let me straighten you out. He's, you crazy? I've been like this for 18 years. Who's going to help me out? Takes him up the office. One twist. Guy looks in the mirror. He says, oh, my gosh, Doc, look at that. Beautiful. My neck perfectly straight. No more like this. He was so excited. He says, let me buy you a drink. They go back down to the saloon. He says, Doc, you're the greatest. Here's to you. One day he goes to the tailor to buy his suit, and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and the jacket is hanging down like this. Tailor is over his shoulder. Looks wonderful on you. Wonderful, wonderful, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Hong Kong tailor. Guys, what kind of gorgeous? What is this hanging down? Why do you worried about the hanging down? You pull the jacket like that, hold the chin over the lapel, it's gorgeous. Now he's walking down the street like this. Friend of his meets him, he says, where'd you get the suit? What, they give you a banjo with it? See, what's the matter with you? Look how it flares out on the side. Back to the tailor. Why are you worried about the flare now? If you pull the jacket like this, hold the hands like that, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now he's walking down the street like this. Another friend of his meets him. He says, run for the hills with that suit, kid. They're going to capture you. See, what's the matter with you? The pants are too long. Back to the tailor. Why are you worried about the pants? You hold like that, it's gorgeous, gorgeous. Now Gorgeous is walking down the street like this. Irving Gorgeous. 2 doctors go by. One of them says, look at that poor fellow. He says, I don't know what's wrong with him, but don't the suit fit nice?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce once again the greatest storyteller of all times, George Burns.
Thank you very much. Now sit back and just relax. You're in for a real treat. I'm going to sing for you. And I love to sing. I can't help it. It's something that's inside of me that has to come out. If you had something like that inside of you, you'd want it out, too. But when I night at 3:30 while out upon a spree. A motor knocked him down and out and nearly broke his knee. It gets better all the time. One guy looked down and said, I think this bloke is dead. But when he said, let's take him home. You ready, Sammy? McCann jumped up and said, he hollered, don't hold it. I'll come to that later. I must tell you that I just got here from Los Angeles. And last week, the Edward G. Robinsons gave a party at their house. They got this beautiful house in Beverly Hills. And it was an intimate party, about 400 people. Anytime you put 400 people into a room that can only hold 60, they've got to be intimate. And I was sitting at the same table with Edie Adams and Jack Lemmon and Zsa Zsa Gabor and Eddie Fisher. Eddie Fisher, you know, people have idols, but he's ridiculous. He told us at the table he's getting married again. I says, Eddie, you've been married 3 times. This is going to be your 4th marriage. I said, why? What's your hurry? He says, well, at my age, Jolson was married 4 times. This kid is hung up on Jolson. He even gets down on one knee to comb his hair. You know, speaking of Jolson, I got to tell you one little story about him. You know where he used to get down on one knee and finish a song and the audience would stand up and they'd cheer and they'd scream? You know, that happened by accident. And also his singing style happened by accident. One night before the show, he was eating in Lindy's restaurant on Broadway, and he had a double order of vegetables and sour cream, which consists of cucumbers, radishes, and onions. And that night, before he went on the stage, he sang April Showers. And while he started to sing April Showers, he got a stomachache. And he sang, when April showers, whoa. Will come your way, who? And that was just from the radish and cucumbers. Then when the onions hit him, he fell down on one knee, finished the song down there, turned out to be a sensation. Anyway, let's get back to the Robinson sociable. Eddie Robinson showed me around the house. He's got a beautiful house, and the walls are covered with paintings. And he said to me, George, isn't it exciting to see some of these masterpieces? Exciting? I know nothing about masterpieces. The only thing that excites me now is if the soup is hot. But I felt I had to say something, you know. So I pointed to one of the paintings, and I says, that's a beautiful painting, and the artist who did that is going places. He says, George, he came and he went. That's a Michelangelo. I said, well, I'm sorry I missed him. When did he leave? I think Eddie was a little upset because he pulled out my breast pocket and poured his drink into it. And then I started mixing with all the guests, and you know, the way men and women dress today, you can't tell who's who. The women there with double-breasted suits and wide ties and low-heeled shoes. I got so confused, I walked up to Governor Reagan and I said, Mia, you were wonderful in Rosemary's Baby. The governor just stared at me and poured his drink into my hip pocket. The party had just started and I was getting pretty soggy. And then Faye Dunaway came in and she only stayed 5 minutes and started to leave. And I said, what's your hurry? She says, look, standing at the bar wearing the same thing I'm wearing. And she was right. It was sort of a cerise coat with the green beads and a big gold medallion and a ruffled shirt with ruffled fronts and ruffled cuffs and bell-bottom pants and buckles on the shoes. And Tony Curtis looked beautiful. But the funniest sight of the evening was Mickey Rooney dancing with Raquel Welch. It was funnier than that. All I saw was the back of his neck, but I think he was smiling. She had to do the leading. He ran into the wall twice. And then the orchestra was playing that wild go-go music. Mickey was dancing a waltz. When you dance with her, you not only can't see, you can't hear. He poured his drink shrank down my cummerbund. When I danced with Zsa Zsa Gabor, I had to take very small steps because by now my pants were shrinking. After the dance, I said to Zsa Zsa, that's a beautiful red ruby you've got in your belt buckle. Turned out to be the cherry from Warren Beatty's cocktail. And I went back to my table and sat down, and somebody poured a drink into my shoe. I looked under the table and said hello to Dean Martin. And a young girl came over to the table, and Georgie Jessel got up to dance with her. Well, he didn't exactly get up. I had to help him up. Those medals are very heavy. You know, he wears 40 or 50 medals. When he's on that floor, everybody knows it. He tinkles all over the dance floor. And I got up, I sang a few songs, and the party broke up. When I was driving home, a cop stopped me. I says, "Officer, what did I do?" He says, "Nothing, but I smelled you going by." I says, "You'll never believe this. I just came from a party, and Edward G. Robinson, and Warren Beatty, and Dean Martin, and Governor Reagan kept pouring drinks all over me." He says, "You expect me to believe that story?" I said, "Would you like to feel my cummerbund?" He looked at me. He says, "Are you George Burns?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Wait till I tell Millie that I ran into you." He says, "Millie and I just watch you on television all the time, and we love you. You're our favorite. You're the greatest." I says, "Well, thank you. Would you like my autograph?" He says, "Yeah, put it right here on this ticket." Well, that was the end of my party. Now back to my big finish. Where am I? One guy looked down and said, "I think this bloke is dead," but when he said, "Let's take him home." This is important, Sammy, so do it right. When he said, "Let's take him home," McCann jumped up and said, he hollered, "Don't take me home. Please don't take me home. Oh, tell me, what did I do to you? Oh, 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 have a little pity. I'm a poor married man. Such a peace I roam. I'm with you most anything you do, but please don't take me. I'm not going. You can't make me. Yes, I'm staying. Oh, please, please, don't take me. Hold it, hold it. Now sustain the last note and hold it loud and long, because that's my finish. Now.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is a real triple threat. He literally does everything. He acts, he sings, and besides that, he does some of the best comedy impressions I've ever seen. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Frank Gorshin.
What did I do wrong? Hey, I got to tell you something. I was in the picture Skidoo. This picture, of course, stars Jackie Gleason. Now, Otto Preminger was the producer and director of this film. Now, I don't know how many of you may be aware of the fact that Otto Preminger is somewhat of a screamer. He screams at his actors. Now, he's a brilliant director, he's a nice man, but he loves his work so much, he gets so involved, he gets emotional, he begins to scream. And sometimes he gets performances from actors that way. Well, Jackie Gleason was the only one that really knew how to handle it. Because Otto would sail into Jackie, and Jackie would just sit there and listen to him. To finish. And finally Otto was finished, and Jackie would say, "Otto, why don't you shut up?" I do impressions. I do impressions. That means I spend my life trying to be as many different people as I possibly can. And I do that because I'm so fed up with my own personality. I just want to be like everybody else. And that's it. I've got more faith in other people than I have in myself. But if thine own self be true, then it must follow as the night, the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Familiar line from a familiar play by William Familiar. Shakespeare said it. My mother said it. They said, be yourself. But I used to think it was great to be able to be somebody else. Think of the things you can do. You can slap your old lady around when she bugs you. And know that it wasn't you who did it. Or you're hanging out in a bar and somebody says, hey, what are you doing here? You can say, everybody loves somebody sometime. You meet a gal and her name is Judy. You don't know what to say. You're kind of shy. You can say, Judy, don't you, yes, I do. I always did and I always will. I'd love to stay here all night with you, but I can't because there's something wrong with my neck. I can't move my neck. Or if a wise guy says, who do you think you are? You can look at him and say, oh. Go ahead, laugh. In 5 minutes, this place will be surrounded by elephants. Or if your woman wants to know how much you love her, you tell her like Kirk Douglas. I love you. And to prove how much I love you, I'm going to hold my hand over this candle until you tell me you love me. Now I'm going to light the candle. You see, I found that I could do things better if I was somebody else. Well, for example, I found that it was easy for me to argue with my wife if I was Rod Steiger. The house, the swimming pool, the bathing suits, the kids, everything goes. I'm getting sick and tired. You hear that? Sick and tired of listening to you tell me over and over and over that I do not tell you the sweet, loving, tender things that other husbands tell their wives, because I do. You just don't happen to remember. That is why I'm going to remind you. I'm going to tell you right now, just like I told you yesterday. Just like I told you the day before that, like I've been telling you every day ever since the day we first met. I love you, I need you, I can't live without you. Now how come you don't believe me? I found I could talk problems over with my gardener as Burt Lancaster. You say you've just seeded the soil? You want me to water for 3 days? I'm telling you I don't have to water for 3 days. Because we're going to have rain, brother. I don't mean just 3 days of rain. We're going to have 40 days and 40 nights of glorious rain. So get down on your knees, you sinner, and pray. For the Almighty Lord is going to wash away the sins of mankind with a gigantic flood. Down on your knees and pray, you sinner, or you don't get to go in the ark. I find that I could talk to my director as, Otto, why don't you shut up? You see, that's the way it can happen. It was all so easy. That's how it happens. You do one impression and the second one comes a little easier. And that leads to another, and then another, and then another, and then another. And before you know it, you're hooked. You can't stop. You become a mimicaholic. You got people hidden all over the house. You go to MA meetings. That's Mimicaholics Anonymous. They're taken over. You can't control. Then all of a sudden, these people start to sneak in and out of your life without you even being aware of it. All of a sudden, you're Marlon Brando without even batting an eyelash. It's amazing what the mind can do, Charlie. In 1 second, you can be as cold and calculated as a monster. And the very next moment, you can be as sensitive as to be or not to be. That is the question. But it is nobler in the mind to suffer the sins. But it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I drink your blood, olé, pour to take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing and Who happened? See, that's what I mean, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I think I'm coming down with somebody. Yeah, I'm gonna be Lee Marvin.
Yeah, you better believe it. It's about time. I've been locked up inside of you so long, I almost forgot what I was like myself. I had to take a back seat to Kirk and Bert and all them other guys. Watch them come and go as you please while I sat choking inside of you waiting for a chance to get out. You wouldn't let me out, so I had to bust down. And I'm out. And those guys can come and go as much as you choose. But from now on, I'll be coming to go too. The only difference is, it'll be as I choose. Bye now.
Shakespeare was right. Be yourself, because they can take over. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I've decided not to do any impressions tonight. Whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, whether I find a place in this world I'll never belong, I gotta be me, I gotta be me. What else can I be? I want to live, not merely survive. I won't give up this dream of life that keeps me alive. Gotta be me, I gotta be me. The dream that I dream makes me what I am. The faraway prize, a world of success is waiting for me if I heed the call. I won't settle down, I won't settle for less. As long as there's half a chance, I can have it all. I go it alone. That's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be me. I gotta be me. Daring to try, to do and die. I gotta be me. Success is wait for me if I heed the call. I won't settle down, I won't settle for less. As long as there's half a chance, I can grab it all. I'll go it alone, that's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I ain't right for me. I gotta be me. Be me, daring to try, to do and to die. I gotta be me.
Gentlemen, I'd like to present once more my English pal with great savoir-faire, Mr. Max Bygrave.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's very difficult to come from a continent and play to another continent and hope to get over with the audience. So if I may, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself with this song. When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year. for small town girls and soft summer nights. We'd hide from the lights on the village green when I was 17. When I was 17, we didn't have to hide from the lights. There was a blackout on. And I remember one evening standing in the entrance of an air raid shelter with the local Betty Grable. And my brother, he was older than me, used to keep his eye on me, he came along and he shone a torch on us. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "Here, hold the torch." We lived right in the heart of London, just by Piccadilly Circus. And my father found it very difficult to get work locally. He was a shepherd. So we didn't have a lot of money coming in, and for clothing, we had to depend on cast-off clothes that society people used to send us. I was the only kid at school that wore a top hat, cutaway coat, and hockey boots. My brother was luckier. He had trousers. Eventually, my dad got a job as a lighthouse keeper. Had a terrible accident. One night, he was right at the top of the lighthouse, trimming the wick. And suddenly, there was a knock on the front door. And he ran down the stairs so fast, he screwed himself into the ground. They tried to get him out for 3 days before somebody tumbled. It was a left-hand thread. I used to share a single bed with my big brother, and it was terrible, terrible. Then he got married, and it was murder. I went to a school, half Catholic, half Jewish, called St. Cohen's. And the priest in charge of us, Father O. Jacobson, the Welshman, one morning at choir practice, right in the middle of Oy Vey Maria, there was this terrible argument between the Catholic boy and the Jewish boy. The Catholic boy said, "Our priest knows more than your rabbi." And the Jewish boy said, "I'm not surprised, you tell him everything." But he was a very fair man, Father O. Jacobson. Do you know, on Thursday nights we had open house bingo, and he used to call the numbers out in Latin and Hebrew so as the Protestants couldn't win. When I was 21, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for city girls who lived up the stair with perfumed hair, and it came undone when I was 21. My darling, I love to see your hair blowing in the breeze. Wait, I will go get it. That's what I used to do when I was 21, impersonation. I just joined the Royal Air Force as a navigator. Only went on one bombing raid. Sorry, Liverpool. And then I was transferred to the army. And I remember being the first one off the invasion barge, running up the beach, shouting, "Come on, lads, don't be scared, follow me!" I was court-martialed for that. We were still at Dover. Our fashions in those days.
greatest audience in the world.
Don't forget to tune in next week for The Honeymooners, starring Jackie Gleason and Art Carney, with Sheila McRae, Jane Keane, and special guest Francis Langford. This is Johnny Olsen speaking for The Jackie Gleason Show. Sound by Eleanor Simmons for Malcolm Starr. Jewelry by Mayors of Florida. Tonight's program